In this video, I'm going to explain to you the exact strategy and method that I've used over the last 12 months to generate over 30 high value clients for my financial advice business. It's brought in over 6 figures for the business, and we generate the majority of our leads and clients all off of the back of Instagram. This video is going to be a step-by-step showing exactly what I do and how I do it so that you could implement it for your own financial business, get yourself more leads and ultimately more clients. My name is Max, I run Hemmings Financial Solutions. The purpose of this video and this channel is to show financial advisors more ways that they can get leads for their business so they can sign more clients. So firstly, I just want to talk you through the fact that there's almost 2 different funnels and 2 different journeys that a client has to go on before they'll even become a client. Most people, and especially when you're taught about marketing or sales, are taught that there's one funnel and there's top of funnel, bottom of funnel, and the client goes through that journey. But in actual fact, I think, and I've found that there's 2 separate funnels that a client goes through. So I'm just going to talk them through that. You've got right at the top, someone who has no idea who you are, they've got no idea the help they need, and really just completely oblivious to the whole situation of your business, who you are, what you do, all of that kind of stuff. And then right at the bottom, you've got someone who becomes a client. So talking through that top funnel, the first thing is that it starts with interest. So there has to be interest in you as a person, as a financial advisor, but also in your services. And that is interlinked, both with interest in you and then interest in your services. So before we start anything, the whole purpose is that we need to be doing things so that as many people as possible are interested in you and are also interested in the services and the business that you have. From interest, once they've actually taken some sort of action and they've implemented or they've done something that is more than just showing some interest, is that they become then a lead. And there's a big difference between someone who's interested or potentially might be interested versus someone who is interested. And when someone is interested, has verbally told you they're interested in some way, or they've done something to show that they're interested, only then do they become a lead from that aspect. Moving on from there is then having a conversation with that person, understanding a bit more about what it is they're looking to achieve, what is it they want to do, what problems they have, how might you be able to help. So you've got interest, they become a lead, and then you have some sort of conversation. These could all sort of be interlinked in one. You may have a conversation which sparks a bit of interest that turns them into a lead. It may be a bit of interest, you then have a conversation and then they're a lead, but this is sort of the journey that they go through from that aspect. And then the last part of that is some sort of formal meeting or formal conversation, more formal than a chat or a conversation. Some sort of meeting has to take place for them to be almost like a qualified lead at that aspect. So you've got like lead and then like qualified lead, and from there, that is when you actually start that full client process. The reason why I think there's 2 funnels, and your full client process will be different no matter what you do. The purpose of this video is not really to talk through that process, that from that initial meeting, whatever you want to call it, through to client. The purpose is this top funnel that most financial advisors don't do, aren't aware of, and don't realize. But understanding that top funnel has to take place before they actually start that journey of even becoming or potentially becoming a client. Most financial advisors miss this, and social media and Instagram can basically do that whole top funnel for you. And if that top funnel is done well, it means that bottom funnel is so much easier, because you can generate so much trust, so much likability, so much credibility all through that top funnel, all through Instagram, and it can basically be automated for you, so that then when a client actually goes through that client process and your formal meetings, your formal cash flow modeling, your presentations, onboarding them as a client, whatever that is for you, becomes so much easier when you nail that top funnel. And as I said, that top funnel can be completely done all through Instagram, and that is what is all done through Instagram for our business. So in terms of what we do, our system and our plan for our business and our Instagram, there's certain steps that need to happen. This sort of follows that top funnel, and you'll sort of understand what I mean by that. But first, they've got to know that you exist. I've said it in the previous video, it sounds stupid to say, but someone has to. And we're talking about completely cold people. So not people within your network, not family, not friends, but completely cold, random people who are perhaps hundreds of miles away in the country from you. They have to know you exist before they can do absolutely anything with you. And so that is what Instagram does. It's a platform that allows us to showcase our skills, ourselves, on a platform to millions of different people so that they can know that you exist. There's no other platform or no other networking event, BNI, whatever it is, where you can showcase yourself to millions of people so that they know you exist. And that is the power of Instagram that it gives you. From then, they have to know, so that actual prospect, that lead has to know that they have a problem. Again, sounds stupid to say, but if someone's not aware of the problem that they may or may not have, then they're not going to take action, or they're not going to seek you out. So they may know you, that you exist and that you provide financial services and you are a financial advisor, but if they don't think or know that they've got a problem, again, they're not really going to be bothered by the fact that you're a financial advisor. They're not going to be interested in any of your service. Once they know that they've got a problem, whatever that is, they need to invest excess money, they need to get it working for them, they want to pay less tax, they don't have a plan for retirement, they've got capital gains tax that they want to mitigate, whatever it is, whatever that problem is, they then have to think that you solve that problem, right? So again, this comes down to social media, is the fact that they know that you exist because you're posting on social media, that you're posting content, they've seen your face, they've seen your information, they know they've got a problem because you keep talking about a problem that they may or may not have. They then think that you can solve that problem because they've seen the information that you provided and ways that perhaps you can mitigate capital gains tax, or ways perhaps that you can make your excess money work harder for you. So they know they've got a problem. They then think that you can solve that problem. And this is what Instagram allows us to do. And once they think that you can solve the problem, they then have to know that you can solve the problem. Again, through building trust, through building credibility, through the fact that they like you, they're then going to start becoming, or start knowing, that you can solve that problem. If you talk about it enough and all the solutions that are around that, then they're going to turn from thinking that you can solve the problem to knowing you can solve the problem. And then that last step is starting that client process. So again, once they know that you can solve that problem, and if they know, like, and trust you, they're then going to start that client process in terms of that bottom funnel, right? So we've gone through the interest, they're interested about you, they're a lead, they perhaps have a conversation, and then they've got a meeting and they'd start that client process. So this is the process that goes through. They've got to know you, they've got to know about the problem, they've got to think you can solve the problem, then you've got to convert them into knowing you can solve the problem, and then they're going to start that client process. Because if they know, like, and trust you and know the fact that you can solve the problem, why would they not then start that client process in starting a meeting and understanding a bit more about what you can do and exactly what that can look like? So that's the process. The easiest way to go through this, as I've said, is through Instagram. And then this is all evolved around content and attention, right? Everything on there is all orientated around content, posting content so that they know you, so that they know they've got a problem, so that they think that you can solve the problem, so that knowing that they know you can solve the problem, so then starting the client process all evolves around content and attention, which can all be done through social media. There's three main pillars for content. So you're probably thinking, okay, great. I understand the premise, the fact that Instagram allows us to do this. I understand that these are the steps and logical steps. When you think about it, they are pretty logical. So it's not something that I've just made up. It is logical. This is creatine, by the way. And it's nice. This all revolves around content. And so you need to have a niche, because in order for you to go through all of these steps here, the only way you can do this efficiently is if you're talking to one specific type of person, because a specific niche, a specific set of people in the country only have very similar problems. And so if you try and talk about loads of different problems that loads of different people have, there's no way that you can do all 5 of these steps efficiently and well, because people will just be confused in terms of looking at different types of content. So the most important part of your content that you post is having a niche and having a specific person that you serve and a specific problem within that niche. That is the most important aspect. So many, 99 or 95% of financial advisors on social media, on Instagram, have either many different niches that they're trying to go after, or just have got the broadest niche possible. On this niche, it's really important that you actually do know about their problems, that you are somewhat similar as well. It helps. I've talked about it previously. If your niche is, and it doesn't matter what your niche is, but if your niche is single mums who run a business and you're a 40-year-old bloke who has no kids and is going after single mums, that is odd and weird, and that niche doesn't match up. Similarly, if you've come from a corporate background and are now a financial advisor and you're trying to work with professional cricketers, but you've never played cricket in your life, and you hate cricket and you hate sport and you've got no idea of the problems of a professional cricketer, you probably shouldn't pick that niche to try and serve and go after. So pick a niche that you actually do understand and you understand their pains and problems. Then post information, right? All this content, information has to be specific to that niche, specific to those problems that they've got, and then be consistent, right? So there's 3 steps in there. Have a niche, post information from that related to the niche, and be consistent. You can't do this for a week and expect to get results. It takes time, just like when you're having conversations in real life, like when you go to your BNI networks that you probably go to, or your other networking, you don't rock up to a first time for a networking event and suddenly people are like, cool, you're amazing, have loads of these leads, have my whole client bank. It just doesn't happen. So you've got to be consistent on social media, just like you've got to be consistent in real life. So that's the process. So just talk through what we do and how we do it. So this is what we've done. You can see here, we've posted over 342 times. It's actually more because that only counts that are on the page, and sometimes I will not post it on the page, but it will go into my reels. So it's probably closer to 450 maybe. The amount of followers we've got, and our bio and our call to action. There's another video that explains this in more detail, but the whole point of our bio is to call out our niche, to show them and tell them how we can help them, and then have somewhere where they can actually contact us and speak to us. So this is the content that we post. You can see here the type of content, the views that we've got at the bottom. There's 9 pieces of content there that have got over 300,000 people that have seen it over the space of 9 days. It's very specific in terms of that my face is out there, that I'm talking to the camera, that people can get to know the way that I speak, the way that I act, how I convey information is so important in building all that trust that we're talking about, so that they know I exist, they know about the problem, they think you can solve the problem, and then knowing I can solve the problem when I'm talking about solutions and what to do and how to do things. That is me conveying that I know, me conveying to them that I can solve the problem, to convince them that they know I can solve the problem, if that makes sense. You can see here in terms of some of the accounts that we've reached, this is over the last 90 days from a couple of weeks ago, I believe, but you can see here in terms of that reach over the 90 days, it's well over 1 million people that you've reached. The amount of networking events you'd have to go to reach 1 million people is scary. 50 years, a whole career worth, and this is done in the space of 3 months. So that's the power of social media, when you actually follow what you need to do and you execute it in the right way. Again, here's the reach from November to February. Over 1.8 million accounts reached, 4.8 million impressions. You can see the bulk of our content is through Reels. It's the best way to be able to reach new people from that standpoint. So that is our strategy. That is exactly what we do, and the results speak for themselves. I'll flash some screenshots from bank accounts in terms of what we've generated for the business, but this is exactly what you need to do, the 2 types of funnels. Now you could try and execute all of this yourself and implement it, or you could have a look at the link below and see how I can help you do it. If you found this video useful, YouTube thinks you'll also find this video useful.